Well, my dad was a farmer and a sharecropper, and after I got old enough to work in the fields, and I worked in the fields all the time, and as I went to school at Leander, and I graduated there in 1935, inducted into CCCs, and I stayed there 3.5 years until I was inducted into the Army for World War II. My inductee number was, and I got it over here at the courthouse. In the Army, at first I was just a PVT, and was a gun in the artillery. And then they put me in the anti-tank platoons in the 155th Artillery, Field Artillery, and then after about 6-8 months there in 1942 or late 41, they formed the 636 Tank Destroyer Battalion, which was track vehicles, similar to tanks, but no closed turret. It was open turret, and we had 3-inch guns or 76 millimeter, and they were called M10s. It was a brand of the tank. We still in Germany. At Worms we went into Germany, to Heidelberg and Stuttgart, and on down nearly to Vienna, Austria, and then we veered off there to Vorgel, Austria. That's when the old colonel come out to our radio and left a message, gave a message on it all, told everybody cease firing unless you fired upon. Now that didn't sound too good to me, but anyway, that was the message, and that's where the war ended right there for us. And then they pulled us back to a town, Kirchheim, Germany, and we stayed there for probably 6 months before they could get a boat to bring us back. And we finally came back on a ship. We went through France to a port over there, and we boarded a ship, Le Havre. That's the port, but I can't think of the name of the ship. But anyway, we boarded that and came in Staten Island, and they deloused us. And then at night they took us in and we saw the Rockettes in New York. And then after that they shipped us off to different places. I went back to San Antonio for discharge. And that's about the history of my. I was a radio operator at first, and then I was a radio sergeant, and then I was radio communication chief of the battalion at the end of the war. And we had pulled into a place one afternoon, and we'd knocked out 3 German guns there. And I don't remember the name of the town, little town there, but we knocked out 3 guns, and they routed everybody out of there. They left, we thought. And old Cal and Sergeant Cal and myself, we said, well, we're going to go sleep in a house tonight. There was an Italian had a house down there, and we were going to go sleep in that house. We started sleeping outside. So we went down there and knocked on the door. Nothing happened. We knocked on it again. Nothing. We tried the latch in, and finally this Italian gentleman came out, had one of them little lanterns like you used to get for Christmas, and he motioned us to come on in, and there was somebody laid on the floor all covered up, and I said, "Who's that?" Compadre. I said, "Yeah," and his German boots were sticking out from under the cover at the end of the boots. And we told him to rouse up, which means get up. And he stood up, and he could have, if he'd had a gun, he could have blown us apart, but he didn't, because we neither one of us had a gun with us. All I had was a pair of lineman's pliers, and I put that in his back, and he thought it was a gun. I bet he thought that was the biggest gun there was. Anyway, I took him up to the CP and turned him over to the captain. I don't know whatever happened to him then. That, and then one time in France, I left go somewhere by myself on about 8 or 10 miles trip there and back. And as I was coming back, the Germans had more or less just given up then, not the SS, but the regular German army. And I was driving along, and I saw out across that field out there was a German soldier, and I hollered at him, and over there you give it that way to come here. And he didn't stop. And I had an old Italian rifle there, and I shot above his head, and that way he came then. I put him on the front of the Jeep, and it took off and took him into an infantry outfit and turned him over to them. But all the time we were near the front lines for 19 months, very near, because they shooting at us all the time, and sometimes we were right on the front with those tanks, or tank destroyers, and that wasn't. With that open top, all the German soldier would have to done was drop a grenade in the top of that, and got you right there. But anyway, that's about what happened. We were halted at the Rapido River because the 36th and 45th and 3rd, and also the 95th and 103rd. And on our side of Italy, we couldn't go across there. The Germans had the monastery and all that valley up there. They could fill that full of guns, just shoot anybody that tried to get across. On a hillside there, about a mile from that abbey, and you would think the planes would go from our side over it and drop their bombs and come around back. But they went around the back of the abbey and came back over. They bombed the abbey and then drove back over us. And I noticed, I was watching it. I could see every bit of it. And I noticed this one plane didn't drop its bombs. And then directly the bomb bay doors opened and they started coming down, and they landed about, maybe a quarter of a mile down there from us, where we were. And I remember that part. That's pretty important, I thought, at that time. But they really, they didn't destroy that abbey, but they sure tore it up, and it didn't do any good. Cause they got us down we went to Naples and come back around and went in at Anzio. Anzio had already been made, that landing, and we have to break out of Anzio, and then went out and cut Highway 6, which is the Appian Way, where the old boy with the elephants came down through there. What was his name?
Hannibal.
Oh, Hannibal, yeah. Anyway, but after we caught Rome, after we captured Rome, and we went north nearly to Florence, and we pulled us back, and we went into southern France then. And we were one day we traveled about 15 miles, and we came into Grenoble, and you probably heard of Grenoble, France.
Yes, sir.
And old Jake Castleman, he was a